All right, we're picking up with David. He's fleeing from Absalom, and we're going to talk about refreshing others today. And there are three really unsung heroes inside this story of David that are fleeing, and we're going to learn some, I think, valuable things for the type of relationships you need and for the type of relationships we should be to other people. 2 Samuel 17, verse 27 through 29. Now it happened when David had come to Mahalaim that Shobai, the son of Nasha, Michar, the son of Amiel, and Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite, from Rogelim. Now, I mispronounced every one of those words. I know it. If you're a Hebrew teacher out there, I apologize. I butchered it, but get over it. Brought beds and basins, earthen vessels and wheat, barley and flour, parched grains and beans, lentils, parched seeds, honey, curd, sheep, cheese of the herds, for David and the people who were with him to eat. For they said, the people are hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. So here were three important people that God touched their heart to bring supplies and refreshments to refresh David and to refresh the people because they were thirsty in the wilderness. The question is this: when you encounter people around you who are in a wilderness, who are in a desert, who are you? Are you a Shimei throwing dirt and rocks? Are you criticizing them? Are you criticizing them going, yeah, you got blood on your hands and you know what? You did that thing and you're reaping the repercussions of your sins. Or are you going, hey, Jesus is the judge. He'll take care of that. But you know what? I have the opportunity to refresh you. I have the opportunity to serve you. I have the opportunity to minister to you. That was what these three people did. Now, these three people represent the three most common excuses as to why people don't refresh other people. Let me give you some background. So Shobai was the son of Nash, whose brother was Hunan. Now Hunan, earlier we saw in 2 Samuel 10, he cut the garments and shaved the beards of some of David's servants. So David waged war and actually killed Hunan and other people. So Shobai actually suffered loss because David came in and dealt with his stupid family. So if anybody could have said, hey, I'm not going to help David because he hurt me. He hurt my family. It would have been him. And you know what? Even though he was hurt by somebody in the church, he goes, I'm not going to let that stop me from being a servant. I'm not going to let that stop me from ministering to people who are thirsty in a wilderness and being used by God. Then you got Machir, who was one who took care of and hid Mephibosheth all those years. Now, Mephibosheth was lame in his feet. Why? Because when David was coming back to the kingdom to become king and take over Saul's kingdom, the nurse dropped Mephibosheth, and so he became crippled really because of David becoming king. And this guy is taking care of Mephibosheth his entire life. So he could have said, hey, look, I have done enough. I picked up your lame mess, David. I've already carried your problems all these years. But he didn't. He could have said, hey, it's somebody else's turn. I'm tired of all this lame stuff. It's somebody else's turn. But he goes, no, there's an opportunity. I'm going to serve. Then you got Barzillai. Now, we see 2 chapters later that this man is 80 years old. Now, if anybody had an excuse, it was him. He could have said, look, I'm 80. I'm too old for this stuff. I'm retired. I'm in my golden years. But he didn't. So the 3 most common excuses: I got hurt, someone else will get it, and I'm too old. All 3 of those, Jesus doesn't let those excuses excuse you from being used to refresh people in need in the wilderness. Now, remember, Jesus is a picture of David. King Jesus will be coming back because right now we live in a day and an age where people have driven him out of the city. We have a government who says we no longer trust in God. We have a government that has thrown out the Bible, the 10 Commandments, and morality at every despicable, deplorable, abominable, wicked Sodom and Gomorrah, days of Noah type level. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. That's a future podcast, probably the week I retire. All right. Now, so we've thrown Jesus out of Jerusalem, so to speak. We've thrown him out of schools. We're throwing him out of churches now. But Jesus is going to come back, and Jesus is going to reclaim his kingdom. And everyone is going to stand before Jesus, and they're going to give an account of their life. Now, in Matthew 25, Jesus talks about how he's going to say to some, hey, I was naked, I was in distress, and all these things. You fed me, you clothed me, I was in prison, you visited me. And they're going to go, when did we do that? When did we see that? And he's going to say to one group, I was naked and you didn't feed me, you didn't clothe me. When did we do that? So we're just going to read a little bit of that passage. Then the king will say to those on his right hand, come, you blessed of my father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. And surely I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these my brethren, you did it to me. Now, we can be Shobai. We can be Makar. We can be Barzillai. We can refresh people as they're in the wilderness, because when we do that, Jesus will come back one day and say, as you did it to them, or as you didn't do it to them, you did it or didn't do it unto me. So I want to encourage you. One of the greatest ways to do this is get involved in your local church. If you aren't plugged into your church, serving in kids ministry, youth ministry, serving as an usher, greeter, backstage, production, coming up, volunteering during the week, doing something, you're missing out on an incredible opportunity, because every single week, people who are in a wilderness are coming through the doors of that church. And when you partner with the body of Christ and you're serving, you are helping refresh others. And you will hear Jesus one day say, as you did it unto these, you did it unto me. And you're going to go, well, when did I do that? Well, you remember that stranger that came through the doors? Or when you took that kid in your arms and during the nursery and you let that parent go to the service? You did it to them. You did it to me, and there will be great reward. Jesus is coming back.